All right, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at triads. Now, I'm sure many of you may already know your triads, or some triads, or have an idea of what they are. But let's clarify it, and let's also come up with a system where you can play triads up and down the fretboard in in a systematic way, so that you don't have any gaps and holes happening. All right. So a triad is a three-note chord, as you already know. And for instance, if I play a C major chord just in an open position, that's a triad, right? I'm just duplicating. I've got two C's in this chord, and I've got two E's in this chord, and one G. So it's just a C, E, G, C major triad. What we're going to take a look at today is taking away those redundant notes, those repeated notes that we would find in big open position chords, and break it down to small chord forms across the fretboard. Okay, I'm getting this from the book I wrote a few years ago, one of the books I wrote a few years ago, called Guitar Triads, Building a Functional Understanding of Chord Construction. So let's jump in. So first of all, sticking to the rule that chords come from scales, the chord that we're going to look at today is a C major chord, and the C major chord can come from the C major scale of the first, third, and fifth degrees of that scale. As you can see in this diagram here, we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, a one octave C major scale. Let's do it on the fretboard. One octave C major scale, and then the C and the E and the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so there's my C major triad in root position, meaning that the naming note of the chord is in the lowest voice. Now we can express triads in two different ways, and well, for now, and they are by playing in an arpeggio. An arpeggio would be written like this, right? And arpeggio is just simply playing the chord in broken style and broken notes. The other way is just sounding all the notes together. That would be written vertically like this, and of course you know that it would sound like that, right? Okay. So that's a little bit of background theory as far as a C major triad is concerned. Now let's take that to the to one more step and move to inversions. So the C root position triad, as we just did, C, E, and G, can be changed to a first inversion by simply taking the bottom note of the chord and moving it to the top, right? So we take the bottom, this one here, and move it up an octave. And then we take the note that we've got on the bottom now, which is the E, and move it up an octave. Rather than this, we move it up an octave, and we have this. And then finally, we finish off with the C major triad an octave higher from where we started. That's this diagram right here. Now, it starts to sound almost pianistic when you play the guitar in this way, and since the guitar is a polyphonic instrument, it's something that you've got to learn how to do. The guitar isn't made to only be played, with big chord forms and then chunking away big rhythm chord forms, and then or else playing single note lines. This is that bridge between those two elements of playing. So thinking of the guitar more polyphonically, all right, like a lap piano. George Van Epps referred to it as a lap piano, which I really like. All right, so here we have inversions of the C major triad, and we start with string set. String set 1, right, is 1, 2, 3. Strings 1, 2, and 3. And the first chord that we have is going to start with the second inversion C major, just because that's where it sits on the first string set. So G, C, and E. There's the first chord. Now we take the bottom note, put it to the top, right? So G on the bottom, G at the top. C on the bottom, C at the top. E at the bottom, E at the top. So those triads are going to sound like this. On the first string set. I'm just going to do those slowly and hope that the reader gets them all. It's like a little D shape, right? And then back down. Now, one thing you may notice if you've been playing a while is these are really abbreviations of larger chord forms, like or this, right? Or this, right? And then the top C chord. Okay. Now that's our first string set. Now we're going to move to the second string set, which is strings 2, 3, and 4, and the chords begin with a first inversion C major. And then we move up to a second inversion, G on the bottom, root position, and then up to the 12th position. That's the one we started with down here, right? When we get to the 12th double dots, it repeats, and back down we go. Each one of those chords is a completely viable C major chord, a full, complete C major triad, C major chord. You don't necessarily need to duplicate notes in the chord in order to make the chord more useful. It all depends on the application. If you want to play a solo or work your way around the fretboard in smaller chords, playing maybe accompanying another guitar player who's just hammering away at the first position chords, you don't need two people doing that. You can play the triads, right? All right, now another thing I would like you to do with the triads is just to work your way through not only one string set at a time, but cross string sets. So string set 1, 2, string set 2, 2, 1, 2. All right, and so on. So you can experiment a little bit and move around the fretboard, and get these triads underneath your fingers. Now, in terms of practicing triads, triads are not a little thing. It's not like a little on the side thing that I do sometimes when I play guitar. Triads are a pillar of playing. You've got to know your triads. I mean, it's an absolute essential part of playing. So if it's an essential part of playing, then you'll want to put some time aside to practice triads. And as I said at the top of this lesson, the way to do that is to build systems, have have a system of practice, a system of playing triads. And this is a great one to start with, just simply working through the triads in the string sets that we have here. So far we've just got string set 1, 2, 3 and string set 2, 3, 4, but we'll expand that in further lessons. And so build a practice program that includes triads. Ultimately, what you want to do is connect those triads to larger chord forms so that they can be seen as a part of a larger chord form. And it's also a good idea to connect them with your scale forms. And just to have a more complete and systematic and integrated method of practicing your triads, it saves you lots of time, and at the same time, you end up with a much more musical result at the end. Okay, so that's triads, string sets 1 and 2. As I said, that comes from this book, and which is a pretty comprehensive book for beginning the journey in triads. Yeah, you can pick that up on Amazon if you like. My family would thank you. All right, and good. That was good. I think that you may have learned something there, and if you did, please subscribe or click like. All of these little things help us because we're just out there in the middle of nowhere. All I'm looking at is a camera right now. So it would be really nice to have a connection with human beings on the other end, especially guitar players, because they're the best people in the world. And also, if you have any questions or any comments, it would be really good to know those as well. And if you'd like us to take a certain direction, or if you'd like me to teach a certain tune, I'd be happy to do that at this stage. So just let us know. Thanks for dropping by. Triads, C major, string sets 1 and 2.